right, Islam to all the Moors. I'm off to a late start again today, y'all. What's going on with me? Anyway, let's begin. If you're new, I'm DrYasapa from Zion Law School. All right, so this is the book we're using for these presentations. This is the Gospel and the Zodiac, or the Gospel and the Zodiac, the secret truth about JC the Christ figure, by the Reverend Bill Darrell-El. All right. The link to the free PDF is in the description area of the video, so go ahead and download it. Let some people know that we're here live right now. Let some people know that we are here. Y'all should know that the Zodiac and the Gospel, there's a lot of people who are interested in both of these topics. And there are a lot of people who have an interest in how these topics relate to one another. And having that knowledge can really, really free your mind, not just from religion, but it puts you in a position psychologically where you can become more successful in your life. You would not believe how much your religious belief system, yes, those limitations, the fear that you're aware of, or maybe you're not aware of, that has its origin in your religious beliefs, how much it holds you down in your life, how much it prevents you from being able to cooperate with other people, to practice group economics. So what I'm trying to say to you, group economics will make your Federal Reserve notes circulate in your community. But in your present mental state, you cannot do that. Why? Because your belief system, your indoctrination. So I always, it's my opinion, this is my opinion, that we autochthonous Americans cannot come together until we abandon all of this religion. And it's religion. Some of y'all say it's white supremacy or racism, but I say it is religion that keeps us from being able to cooperate with each other. That's right, I said cooperate. And that keeps us in a negative mindset, and it keeps you afraid of everything, in fact. When the wind blows the leaves, you get scared. You know it's true. You know it's true. But this is due to your religion. Your religious beliefs. Let me repeat that. Your religious beliefs. Okay? If you don't believe me, stick around here, learn, and make an intelligent decision on your own. You don't have to listen to me, all right? Okay, so everybody, the text, the author is coming from the Libra section of the book of Mark, which is Mark chapter 10, verse 1 through 10. So let me repeat that, which is Mark chapter 10, verse 1 through 31. Yes. Verse 1 through 31, okay? We're at the top. No, let me see where we're at. Let me find the paragraph. I might. Sometimes okay, yeah. Sometimes I get the pages confused. I don't know if I'm on the front or the back of the page. Okay, so we're on page 150. Page 150. Now, if you've been following this, you've seen you've seen some real problems that the author presents with the Roman practice of marriage in terms of conflicting scriptures, things that JC said, that the prophets said, that are disagreeable with what Moses said, or at least throws mud on what Moses said. And those scriptures are very ambiguous. Okay, very ambiguous scriptures. So go back and watch the last presentation I did and the presentation before that. We're talking about marriage because this is Libra. Long story, I don't want to get into it, but y'all go back and watch that video. So now we're going to get into the subheading called balance. Balance. Okay, balance. The importance of personal balance is stressed in Taoism, the most Libra of all the world's religions, in which the unity of opposites, the yang and the yin, within the psyche is a condition of personal growth and social harmony. In the teachings of Hua Hu Ching, we read, in ancient times, people lived holistic lives. They didn't overemphasize the intellect, but integrated the mind, body, and spirit in all. Okay, they integrated the mind, body, and spirit in all things. Understand that true growth comes from meeting and solving problems of life in a way that is harmonizing to yourself and to others. Okay, now I agree with that. I agree with that 110%. If you can follow these simple ways, you will be continually renewed. Unless the mind, body, and spirit are equally developed and fully integrated, no wisdom can be sustained. When the body is emphasized to the exclusion of the mind and spirit, they become like trapped snakes, frantic, explosive, poisonous to one's person. All such imbalances inevitably lead to exhaustion and expiration of the life force. So in other words, the author here is telling you that if you are out of harmony with nature, you're going to have bad relationships and die early. Basically, that's what he's saying. Bad relationships and die early. If you have bad relationships, typically that means you have money problems if you work with someone or other people. No one will want to work with you. No one will want to do business with you, okay? Unless you have something that they really, really want. In which case, they're going to be trying to find a way to get it without you. So, and you can see what kind of life that would leave. Now you're constantly fighting, right? Constant struggle, like an animal. The rich young man subheading. The more goods people possess, the greater the tedium. The tedium, rather, the greater the tedium. By the way, that quote from The Balance, that quote from Hua Chu Chin is from Novak, page 171 and 72. So we move to the next subheading, which is the rich young man. The more good people possess, the greater the tedium. This is from Saint Teresa of Avila. So y'all take that with a grain of salt. This is from a Saint Teresa. You better believe she was probably secretly wealthy. outwardly probably looking like she was struggling, but had mansions and everything else, just like the rest of them, right? Just like the rest of them. And there's nothing wrong with having a mansion. I'm saying the hypocrisy of it. So let's continue. Page 150. The section devoted to marriage is followed by the story of the rich young man in Mark chapter 10, verse 17 through 31. Okay. He comes running up to JC, kneels before him, and asks, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" It's the end of the quote. JC says to him, "Why do you call me good? Only capital G-O-D is good." It's Mark 10:18. This reply has been a source of acute embarrassment to the church. Acute means now, immediately, right? Since it seems to undermine the status of JC as, quote, capital G-O-D incarnate. So if JC is in fact the creator, why is he saying, "Why do you call me good? Only capital G-O-D is good." Capital G-O-D, or the creator, has to be separate, right, from JC. I wonder if you can see that, or does your doctrine blind you? And the embarrassment was left early on. Matthew has JC say, quote, "Why do you ask me about what is good?" Y'all see how they did that? Why do you ask me about what is good? Slight change in the words, completely different meaning. Y'all see that? Word magic. That's at Matthew 19:17. A slight but significant change, which does less damage to JC's image as a divine figure. But this passage has nothing to do with JC's ontological status. And Mark's version is absolutely crucial to a proper understanding of the text. Scholars note that Mark's version of the gospel is supposed to be the oldest version of the gospel, and all of the other gospel writers, good morning, all of the other gospel writers are said to have referenced or copied or edited his text in one way or another. Okay? Or it is suspected. Let me rephrase that. It's suspected, okay? By repudiating all claim to goodness, which, in its conventional sense, is used to describe someone who operates comfortably within the mores, that's M-O-R-E-S, of society, JC is teaching that, quote, becoming good, end quote, while it might be a byproduct of the spiritual life. And again, I ask the question, what is a spiritual life? Show its definition. Is not the object of it. Okay, so what is the object of it? This is precisely the lesson he wants to teach the young man. The story continues, quote, "You know the commandments. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, and do not give false testimony. Do not defraud. Honor your father and your mother." Okay. "Teacher," he declared, "all these things I have kept since I was a boy." JC looked at him and loved him. "One thing you lack," he said. "Go sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me." Now, why don't the preachers do that, y'all? Why don't the preachers give everything they have to the congregation and the community? Why don't they do that? Why don't they practice what they preach? Why doesn't the Catholic Church or these camps and all the rest of them follow this advice? Give everything you have to the poor. And you'll have treasure in heaven. Okay? Give it all up and you'll have treasure in heaven. Y'all go ask your leaders to do that, okay? Go ask your religious leaders to give everything they have to the poor so that they can have treasure in the heaven. See what kind of response they give you. Then come follow me. Okay, so after they give all their stuff to the poor, then come back and start your ministry. At this, the man's face fell. He went away sad because he had great wealth. Mark chapter 10, verse 19 through 22. Of course his face is going to fall. You'd have to be out of your mind to do this. Okay? It's a good hustle. Really good hustle. Okay? The young man epitomizes everything that is noble and virtuous in Judaism. So in other words, he kept the commandments, right? This is what they're saying. Okay, and those of you who are new to this, Judaism is a religion. Okay, it is a system of beliefs and ceremonies. In contradistinction to the bloodline nation of people, the House of Yasharala. So make the distinction. Now, the young man said that he kept all the laws. And according to the contract, that's all he needs to do is follow all the laws, right? There's nothing else he needs to do but follow all of the laws. And in fact, the reward of following all of the laws, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 14, you carefully follow all, you keep all of the laws, you get a lot of material wealth. You get notoriety, fame, and recognition. You get untold, unimaginable success. However, JC told the young man to give all of that up, to give up his riches. Well, the reward for following natural law, keeping the Most High's commandments, is riches, it's wealth. Do y'all see where this is going? That's his inheritance. JC is telling this young man, give up his inheritance and come follow him. Yes, give up your inheritance. Let me repeat this. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 14. Okay? We're talking about contract, the terms of the contract between the House of Yasharala and the Most High. This is natural law. Verse 1, be careful to do everything I am commanding you to do today. And if you do all of these things that I am commanding you today, then all of these riches, all of this wealth will follow you and overtake you. Okay? Huge amount of wealth, prosperity, notoriety, fame, fortune will be given to not just you, but the entire nation. The nation will be the leaders of all areas of human activities, the wealthiest nation on the planet. Okay, y'all? But JC is telling this young man to give all of that inheritance away. Why? So that he can have riches in heaven And the contract never says anything about dying and going to heaven. It never says anything about heaven, in fact. In fact, if you go in verse 30, chapter 30, it says, and I'm paraphrasing again, you don't need anybody to go up into heaven for you. Y'all hear that? Go check it. Somewhere around Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 9 through 11, 9 through 14. It says you don't need anybody to go up into heaven for you. That's a paraphrase. But JC is saying, voluntarily forfeit your inheritance, all of your wealth, and go follow him so that you have treasure in heaven. Now you're going to be poor, you ain't going to have nothing. So if you go follow an external deity, scholars, what does that get you? What does it get you? Go right on over to Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 3. No external deities before my face. Do y'all see this? Can you see it? So now you've just broken the first and probably the most important of the commandments. And I say that for a reason. That's not my opinion. Now, JC just walked you into a trap. If you're willing and able to see it. He just walked you into a trap. He just, denationalized you. Yes, your nationality is an inheritance. He walked you into what? The jurisdiction of, that's right, the Raphaim, the Dogon. Maritime law. Why? Because you're going into Christianity. You're leaving your nation, your bloodline nation. Why do I say you're leaving it? Because you're no longer following natural law. You've abandoned the principles, the culture, the heritage of your ancestors. In violation of Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Honor your ancient foremothers and forefathers. These went into a contract with the Most High, and we are obligated to perform that contract. And you just abandoned it. You just abandoned it and went into a religion. You've abandoned those commandments. You've abandoned natural law in exchange for religion. You just got sweet talked into it. Sweet talked out of all your money. Oh boy. You got sweet talked out of all your money. Sweet talked yourself right into bondage. I hope everyone can see this. Okay? The young man epitomizes everything that is noble and virtuous in Judaism. According to the conventional wisdom of the time, his prosperity is a reward for his scrupulous observance of the law, and stands as a guarantee that he is speaking the truth about honoring his contractual agreement with capital G-O-D. As Psalms 37 testifies, the capital L-O-R-D is good and righteous. Moreover, the man is lovable. JC instantly recognizes that his dutiful approach to life has in no way diminished his attractiveness as a human being. The young man is lovable, right? But JC still robbed him. The same way that when the conquerors brought Christianity to the Americas, they found us also to be a very lovable people, innocent, In their eyes, childlike. We were like taking candy from a baby. Why? Because we loved each other and we took care of each other. We wasn't jealous, wasn't envious, wasn't materialistic. Read the writings of the conquerors who came and wrote about our societies, our personalities, and how we interacted with each other, and also them. Don't take my word for it. We might assume that he possesses all the characteristics of the Libra Venus personality, as outlined above. And today, the man would be held as a great model of religious piety, an enviable figure, an exemplary citizen. Okay, so in so many words, the author is saying the same thing that I said. Okay, so we have an agreement, but his is directed toward religion. Mine is talking about the performance of the law. Okay, performance of the law gets you material wealth, period. Period, as a nation. So as a nation, that would include people, right? And he gave his away, or he was asked to give his inheritance away. And he was very intelligent because he said no. He walked away. That's an example for you, to walk away from anybody who's trying to rob you of your inheritance. Walk away from them. Follow this intelligent, rich young man's advice, or example rather. Now let's continue. For JC, however, the man has one major failing. He is too committed to a life of ease. Well, isn't that what the blessings promise us, y'all? A life of ease? Isn't it? Y'all go back and read Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. You are promised a life of ease, extreme wealth. That's the promise. Okay? You can't make this stuff up. You really can't make this stuff up. For JC, however, the man has one major failing. He is too committed to a life of ease to be a serious candidate for the spiritual life, which demands that we relinquish our attachments to fleshly pleasures. That means give up your inheritance. All of the things that the Most High said he would give you, JC is telling you to give it to the church, or not to the church, but yes, to the church, right? To the church, and let them give it to the poor. So if you can't see that you're being played in this, well, that's very sad. Okay? The man is too committed to a life of ease. Too committed to a life of ease. That means you keep the commandments, you get a life of ease. Right? You break the commandments, you get a hard life. A life of struggle, difficulty, pain, and sorrow. Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. What about you, scholar, in your life? What is your decision from right now, today, right now, this moment forward? What's your decision? Are you going to continue to voluntarily consent to giving away your inheritance? Your nationality, your birthright, even your fiat? You're going to continue giving it away? Or you're going to say, okay, that's it. I'm taking my stuff back. I want my stuff back. I'm going to return to the Most High by following natural law, which are the commandments, y'all. Natural law is the commandments. Nature, harmonizing with nature and harmonizing with everyone and everything around us. Okay? Vibrating with nature. All right? In other words, you go with the flow of nature. Very easy. So let's continue. Y'all make some decisions on what you're going to do and who you want to be. Make it now. Don't wait. All right? This is quite a hustle. Quite a hustle. This is making you feel guilty. Making you feel guilty, trying to make you feel guilty so that you'll devalue all of the gifts that we were given as a birthright. Mind you, Genesis chapter 2, Moors are the rightful heirs of all land. That's all property, all energy, all resources, ours at birth. And here comes this JC deity. Let me restate that. Here comes the author presenting you with the character named JC in the position of a deity, making you feel guilty about your birthright, making you devalue it, making it something bad, so that you will then want to be good, right? Everybody wants to be good. So that you'll want to be good by willingly giving it up. What a hustle. Y'all see the mind game? All right. Most important thing we have is our inheritance, y'all. The most important thing we have is our inheritance. If you don't believe me, look around you and look at your own life. And that's not having it is the answer to why your life is the way it is. Okay? Now let's continue. Okay, so this spiritual life, which they never clearly define what it is, demands that we relinquish our attachment to fleshly pleasures. Even the innocent ones. Y'all hear that? JC would have agreed with Wittgenstein, who said somewhere that whatever life is about, it certainly isn't about having a good time. I absolutely disagree with that. That's so foolish. I don't even think that's so foolish and obviously foolish that there's really no need to spend any time on talking about it. Life is about having a good time. Life is not about having a good time when you don't have anything. And therefore, you need to struggle. You need to get out there and work. You need to be focused, laser focused, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Why? Because you don't have anything. You need to survive. Okay? That's completely different. When you have an inheritance, if we're in the blessings, right? Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. Well, life is about enjoying ourselves. We have everything. What do we need to go out and get? Sit back, relax. Take it easy. Right? There's no need to go out here and toil. No, life is about having a good time. But in order to have a good time, you need to have wealth. When I say having a good time, I'm not talking about doing things that harm yourself, right? Natural law is do no harm. Having a good time is not drinking alcohol in excess, using drugs. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about enjoying life. Whatever that might be for you. Okay, enjoying life might be spending time with family, friends, kinfolk. It might be building magnificent structures. It might be doing scientific research. It might be doing whatever it is you enjoy. That is what life is about, y'all. Don't think in terms of the curses. Get out of that. Get out of that mindset. We need to see the religious mindset is a mindset of the curses. Which is why I'm trying to tell you, trying to help you see natural law is the mindset that we need to be in order to get into Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. The blessing status. All right? In order to get our stuff back, we need to harmonize with nature. Follow the Most High's commandments. Period. Okay? Now that's a mindset of wealth, success, and achievement. Religion is the mindset of curses, punishments, poverty, pain and sorrow, struggle. Okay? Contemporary Christianity is as astonished by this teaching as JC's apostles were. Mark 10:24. So even they admit that this is something new that JC is presenting, right? In contradiction to the words that Moses spoke. Throughout history, worldly success has been considered a reward for virtue. And the evangelists of today who condemn what they consider the, quote, paganism, unquote, of modern society while preaching that, quote, capital G-O-D, wants us to be prosperous, end quote, might well reflect on this passage in Mark. Y'all got that? So in other words, you need to take JC's word over Moses' word. That's what the author is saying, and he's saying what the Christian doctrine is. Well, yeah, Moses' word says you're supposed to be wealthy. You follow the instructions, wealth is your reward. But wait a minute, JC said, no, that's not the case. So do y'all see what's happening here? JC makes this statement to denationalize you, to put you in poverty by your own consent. Yes, by your own consent. They came with the Gospels and a sword. Okay? Many of you probably consented, gave up all your wealth because you believed these stories. And those of you who didn't, got it, took it away from you with a sword or ran out of town. This is how Christian religion got into America and became rooted in America. Period. Through manipulation, violence, and war, and intimidation. You see it right here. Oh, now let's continue. In recent years, it would seem that every single TV evangelist in America has produced a book or series of tapes with some variations of the title, quote, "The Bible's Plan for Your Prosperity," end quote, each of which no doubt includes something about capital G-O-D's plan for the evangelist's prosperity. For JC, however, riches, while not wicked, are inimical to real discipleship. Y'all got that? And to the rewards that discipleship will bring. Mark 10, verse 30. So you see the trade-off. Discipleship, being a JC disciple, or keeping the commandments. Okay, that's what JC is asking you to do. Trade in your nationality and your inheritance as a Genesis chapter 2 more. Okay, the contract we have, y'all call it in religion the Mosaic covenant. Give all of that up and go follow after JC to be his disciple. And most of our people did that and are doing that right now in Christianity or one of the other religions, and are suffering, okay? And are suffering. See what you got in exchange for all of your inheritance, all that wealth? You got the black codes, and they're trying to bring back Jim Crow, from what I understand, in Mississippi. And all of the situations and conditions that we see now, the escheat and also the bills of attainder. What I'm saying is no secret. All of y'all know it's true. This might sting. What I'm saying might sting to some of you. It might hurt. All right? But it is what it is. Let's continue. What a hustle. What a mind game, y'all. What a mind game. See how they twisted y'all minds? Our ancestors' minds? The spiritual life cannot be lived amidst the distractions and temptations that invariably accompany wealth. The spiritual life cannot be lived. Okay, so they've introduced you to this ambiguous spiritual life. It's supposed to be so good. Well, what is it? Why haven't they clearly defined it? But our people are chasing after spirituality and a spiritual life. The spiritual life cannot be lived amidst the distractions and temptations that invariably accompany wealth. Do y'all see that? So in other words, you can't be wealthy and be spiritual, whatever spiritual is. But worse than that, this is the worst mindset. This is worse. The person is poor, struggling, okay? Or let's not even say poor. Let's just say struggling from paycheck to paycheck or month to month. And they hear about the Most High's commandments. And that they hear that all of this Christian stuff, they need to start questioning it. But now they become afraid to. Why? Because their idea of wealth is that wealth is evil. So now the contract, the Mosaic covenant, is not as attractive to them because they've been conditioned to think that wealth is sinful, is bad. Having money is bad. Being wealthy is bad. So now their distorted view of wealth prevents them from returning to the Most High, because the Most High is offering wealth. Wealth as the reward for harmonizing with nature. Harmonizing with nature simply means keeping His commandments or following His instructions. Do y'all see how insidious this is? You see how these schemers have scammed you? The spiritual life cannot be lived amongst the distractions and temptations. What temptations? Are they talking about temptations with women? Y'all? Committing adultery? Is that what they're talking about? Okay, so that concept has to do with the Roman concept, which we are under right now, of marriage. One man, one wife. Our ancestors did not practice that. Men had multiple women, consorts. This idea of a husband and a wife is Roman. So, if the focus of marriage is not sex, it's not envy, it's not jealousy as it is today, where's the temptation having to do with women? Where's that at? If women see the need for having multiple consorts, if they're comfortable with it as they were at that time, where's the temptation? Why do people even need to go cheat with other women? No, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. It wouldn't even be an issue. Now, many of you might disagree with me, and that's okay. But think about it. If I have 5 glasses of water, or even 2 glasses or 3 glasses of water, why am I going to go out and get another glass of water from someplace else? Why? Because I'm a dirty dog? No. You have to understand, our ancestors practiced natural law, which is to do no harm. This is the Roman mindset that you have. The Roman mindset, the Roman culture, the Roman ethics and morality. So don't look at this from the Romans' eyes. Okay? Harmonize yourself with nature and then come back to this topic before you get mad. Okay? And then come back and see if your views have changed. All right? Now, I'm just telling you like it is, or how it was with our ancestors. Okay? It's not like that now. The spiritual life cannot, well, I've already read that. Let's continue. As Schopenhauer says, quote, people need external activity because they have no internal activity. Well, that's ridiculous. Where, on the contrary, the latter does exist, the former is likely to be very troublesome. Indeed, execrable annoyance and impediment. So that's taken from Schopenhauer, page 178. A similar sentiment was expressed by Saint Teresa of Avila. This is absolute foolishness to me, y'all. Foolishness to me. Keep in mind, we're not looking at this from a Roman point of view. We look at this from a nature point of view, natural law, which is to do no harm. So if everybody's operating from that principle, let's say go back to the way we were in the Americas before conquest, before we were conquered. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. We were living in harmony with nature. All of these temptations and distractions, we had gold in superabundance. So much gold that these conquerors said we just gave it to them. We traded gold with them. Nobody was killing over gold. There's a mosquito or something that keeps y'all. Anyway, that's why I'm doing like this. A bug keeps coming around me. There was no fighting over gold. That's the European or the hybrids fetish, is with gold. Okay? They're the ones who kill for gold. We didn't have all of this jealousy and envy among women. It's just our practice, nature, for a man to have more than one woman. And nobody, including women, had any problems with it. Period. All right, let's continue what this Saint Teresa of Avila has to say. It's as if a person were to enter a place where the sun, S-U-N, is shining, but be hardly able to open his eyes because of the mud in them. The room is bright, but he doesn't enjoy it because of the impediment of things like these wild animals or beasts that make him close his eyes to everything but them. So, I think, must be the condition of the soul. Even though it may not be in a bad state, it is so involved in worldly affairs and so absorbed with its possessions, honor, or business affairs that even though as a matter of fact it would want to see and enjoy its beauty, these things do not allow it to, nor does it seem that it can slip free from so many impediments. If a person is to enter the second dwelling place, it is important that he strive to give up unnecessary things and business affairs. Each one should do this in conformity with his state of life. This is from Bilecki, page 49. Okay, so that sounds really, really good, right? But that's a whole bunch of BS. Let me say it again. The Catholic Church is a corporation. They started all of these corporations, and they control the nation states. The nation states control the economies, right? They control the economies. They're using fiat or central banking system. So they control the economies. They control how many hours a day you work. They control how much fiat you earn per year, per month, per week. So if they wanted to make things easy on you, all they have to do is adjust their system. But they don't. They calibrate their system so that you will have to work just to get by. There's no need for you to have to work 8 hours a day. If the whole system was recalibrated, you could work 1 hour a day and still maintain the same or better lifestyle. Okay? So all of this stuff that you've been taught, well, I'm here to tell you that you've been lied to. You've been lied to. All of the banking system can be controlled. All of it. If they wanted to improve society, all they have to do is recalibrate the educational system, recalibrate labor laws. All of this recalibrated. There's no need for people to have to work 8, 10, 12 hours a day. Okay, and so some of you are thinking about, what about inflation? Well, I'm telling you that that's all garbage. All of these things are controlled by the central banks who work together. Who work together. And it depends on you being ignorant of that. You think it's some type of magic. And these problems are happening out of nowhere and they need to solve them. No, these problems are created. They use mathematical modeling and algorithms. All of this is controlled mathematically. Period. So the fact that you have to work 8, 10, 12 hours a day, you have to pay somebody, you don't have a babysitter, all of the problems you have, it's intentional. Those who are in power in North America, it is intentional. That's right. It is intentional, and you must be kept in a crisis situation, under pressure. Why? So that you'll continue to accept this religious doctrine. Because that's their power over you. Y'all see that? Okay? Anyway, I'm Dr. DrYasapa from Zion Law School. If you want to support my work, the links to do so is in the description area of this video. I've written many books on ancient Ibaryath. Everything that you see me doing, I've learned through the work that I've done with ancient Ibaryath. Okay, so ancient Ibaryath Uh, you absolutely must have it. So you'll learn that, in learning that, that's linguistics, right? That's learning language. This is not about religion. No religious doctrine. The linguistics is what allows you to open a page. Open the page, read and comprehend what's written in the text. To see past, deeper than the connotative meaning of the words. To be able to see the original meaning of the words. Y'all see that? That's what it gives you the ability to do. Once you're able to do that, you can then look at mythology, culture if you want to, science, including astrology. You can look into all of these other things, right? It's called philology. You can begin to do all of this type of stuff, but without the ancient Ibaryath, you can't do it, at least not thoroughly. So some people will say, oh, you can go out and learn biblical Hebrew. Well, guess what, my friend? Biblical Hebrew is one, not yours, and two, is also corrupted. It's also corrupted, right? So you need to be able to see through the biblical Hebrew, what they have done, changing things, grammar rules. As I've said, they are word magicians. Okay, so what I do is see through all of that and show you what's actually there. Okay, so if you want to support my project to rewrite the book of the law, support the rewriting of the book of the law into ancient Ibaryath, and from ancient Ibaryath to rewrite it into modern English, to take out all of the lies, all of the deception, all of the mythology, and put back in it everything that was taken out, including natural law and natural law principles, to show you the escheat, to show you the bills of attainder, etc., etc., etc. All of this will show you who exactly you are, and it'll show you who they are. All right? So let's do it, y'all. Support this project. I'm not going to do it by myself. It's too much for one person to do and finance at the same time. Okay, I need help to get this project forward, help with the production, the marketing, and the distribution. Okay, so I want to get all of this stuff at least started up front. Okay? So if you want to support in other ways, buy my books on my website, zionlawschool.org. Don't buy them on Amazon and other online retailers because they take too much money. Okay? Also sign up for my classes. You'll see the links to everything in the description area of this video. Shalom and Islam to all the Moors.